And now to talk you through the philosophy of planning your macros versus tracking them. If you were going to go on a trip from Los Angeles to New York in a car and you'd never done it before, you're not familiar with driving across the United States, you'd probably map out your route ahead of time. Not too many people would just get in the car and drive and hope that they get to New York. So, what we do is we look at a map, we route the plan, we look at what we need to do, we sort of gauge where we're going to overnight stay, all these things that go into planning a trip or a road trip. The same philosophy applies to planning our macros. And this was one of the fundamental philosophies on which MacroPath was built. In all of my time coaching, both in one-on-one and in my app, one of the deal breakers between long-term success and not having long-term sustainable success was tracking versus planning. With tracking, you don't give yourself a plan for the day. And it always feels like we're trying to play catch up because we're hoping that we hit that 150 grams of protein a day. Our meals aren't planned. It creates an incredible amount of mental tension only because we're constantly all day long trying to make decisions. And then also, it actually does create more like phone stress fatigue because you're tracking as you go, you're eating, and you're not enjoying your meal because you're hoping that you're hitting your macros, and then you got to go into your phone and you got to put it in and you say I'm off again, and then you get to the end of the day and you still have 75 grams of protein that you need to eat, versus taking 30 minutes in the morning to plan your day chunks by chunk by chunk, because then you know that you're going to eat your 150 grams of protein, you know you're going to get your 200 grams of carbs, you know you're going to get your 70 grams of fat. I'm just making numbers up here, but you get it. Like you give yourself a map and then you just execute on that. The amount of less mental fatigue, decision fatigue, mental stress, mental tension that is released when we plan instead of track. There's no other way that I can really emphasize it enough until you actually get into the rhythm of it and you start to understand and you start to feel the severe reduction of decision making fatigue, mental stress, and phone tracking fatigue that comes when we're tracking versus planning. I don't know how much more I can like put exclamation points around this. I hope I've convinced you, and I hope that MacroPath helps you do this, or you've taken my words to heart and you start using your own calorie or macro tracker that you prefer and start planning in advance. How far do you have to plan in advance? Everyone's different. Me, I do a week at a time. I do a week because I don't want my phone tracker to be involved in my life. Like I built MacroPath, but I don't even want tracking or anything like that to be involved in my life besides the time that I go down to plan my food. Some people like to do it the day of. That's totally fine. Some people like to do 3 days at a time. You have to find the rhythm that works for you. The only thing that I can stress is that you just need to be consistent at it. You don't need to be perfect. And also take baby steps. Sometimes when people are really trying to get in the habit of planning in advance, some people will just plan out their protein for the day to make sure that they're hitting their protein. Some people will just start with doing one meal a day that they know that they're going to nail, and they'll do that for a week, and then they'll move on to doing 2 meals and then 3. So just go in baby steps. You don't have to do everything all at once unless you're using MacroPath. MacroPath will do it for you. But either way, just be consistent. And consistent is sustainable. Sustainable is reliable. And that's what's going to get you the long-term results.